Hey guys, it's Brent and I'm back. And I'm going to be talking today about another Kiss album. And this isn't really a review, it's more of a kind of a retrospect. And I guess, a little bit of a critique, you could say. But I'm going to be talking about the album that came out shortly after You Wanted the Best, You Got the Best during Kiss's reunion tour. And it's an album that I don't actually own. The vinyl's really hard to get. I think you can only get it in Kisstory, the box set. And the CD, I actually saw the CD in a store this past week during my record shopping, but I didn't purchase it because it wasn't in great shape. But I did find a copy to order off of line for $5. I'm talking about Greatest Kiss. Kind of reviewing, critiquing. This is going to be a little different than what I typically do because it's a compilation album and all the songs are pretty much versions that you've heard before. And there's one live song on it that was recorded during the reunion tour at Tiger Stadium. So we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about Greatest Kiss. I'll pop a thing up here of it. And like I said, I only own this digitally. And I didn't realize there were so many different versions of it. So let's get into it. So Greatest Kiss was released on April 8th, 1997. And it was executively produced by Jason Lynn. Even though all the songs had their own prospective producers, and Kiss worked with Eddie Kramer to produce the live version of Shout It Out Loud, but Jason Lynn was the executive producer of the album. Now this is Kiss's ninth compilation album and their 34th album release in the catalog overall. The one solo live track, Shout It Out Loud, was recorded at Tiger Stadium on June 25th, 1996, and in Detroit. And it was produced by, as I said earlier, it was produced by Kiss and Eddie Kramer. They wanted to add a live track in on there. These albums were basically, this album and the album before it, You Wanted the Best, was basically albums just kind of put out to support the reunion tour. Now I want to talk about the different releases. There's different releases depending on what country you're in. The US got one release with 16 tracks, the least tracks. And then other countries like Mexico, Australia, Europe, they got releases that had 20 tracks. And not all the same songs were on the same releases. And I'll talk about that as I'm going down through the tracks. The US version only covers from 1974 to 1980. And the non-US releases include the 1992 release, God Gave Rock and Roll to You Too. The releases in other countries, as I said, had 20 tracks with varying additional tracks that included songs like Black Diamond, Shock Me, She, God of Thunder, God Gave Rock and Roll to You, Come On and Love Me, Rock Bottom, Love Gun, 2000 Man, and I Want You. Now, me personally, I would have liked to have a lot of those, if not all of those, on those. I will say about this release, it is a pretty good, what I would consider, it wouldn't be what I consider a greatest Kiss, because, greatest Kiss hits, but I like the deep tracks, the deep cuts that they put on here, and I'll talk about those as I get to the track listing. Now this album peaked at position number 77 on April the 8th, 1997, and it only spent 4 weeks on the charts. Now this album's never been certified gold or platinum by the RIAA. It's believed that this album has only sold about 413,000 copies. Now one of my biggest beefs about this album is not so much song selection. I don't like that the US version only got 16 songs where all the other versions, countries, got 20 songs. And I don't like the flow. It jumps around. It's like 1 minute you're listening to Christine 16, and then the next minute you're listening to Beth, and then the next minute you're listening to, Strutter or whatever. So I don't know. There's just something about it. I wish that they would have started chronologically and would have just went down through the years. And I would have liked to see a better representation from the albums. So now as far as the track selection goes, They chose, if we go in chronological order, they chose three songs off the debut album, no songs for the U.S. version, no songs off of Hotter Than Hell. They chose one song off of Dress to Kill. They chose five songs off of Destroyer, two songs off of Rock and Roll Over, two songs off of Love Gun, and three songs off of Dynasty. And so they kept it Kiss, original Kiss makeup era. Like I said, with the inclusion of God Gave Rock and Roll to You on the non-US versions, which I thought was an interesting thing to put on there. But yeah, so they spread it around, but I really hate that at least on the US version that Hotter Than Hell didn't get any love. Overall, it's good song choices. Like I said, I wish they would have gotten US would have gotten 20 tracks. And I do hate that it seems like when they did the songs that they did cut off of the US version, they have a tendency to be ace songs. They cut Shock Me, they cut 2000 Man, and I would have loved to sing Shock Me and 2000 Man on the US version as well. So speaking of US version, let's go down through here. So track 1, they had Detroit Rock City. That is on all versions. Then track 2 was Hard Luck Woman. That's on all versions. Then the next track is Sure Know Something. That's on all the versions. Deuce they had in the next track, and that's on all versions. Do You Love Me is track 5. That's on all versions. I Was Made for Loving You is track 6. That's on all the versions. Calling Dr. Love is track 7, and that's on all versions. Christine 16 is track 8. It is not on the European, the Mexican, or the Australian release. Track 9 is Beth, and it's on all the versions. Strutter is track 10. It's on all the versions. 11 is Cold Gin, and it's not on some of the Mexican versions. The Mexican versions have an interesting story. There's two versions of the release for Mexico, but the back of the album, the track listing is the same. But inside on the CD, the track listing on the CD is different. And on one of those, it includes Cold Gin. The next track on the US is Plaster Caster. That's only on the US version. Rock and Roll All Night is track 13. It's on all the versions. The next song is Flaming Youth, track 14. It is only on the US version. Track 15 is Two Sides of the Coin. It is only on the US version. And then finally, the last track on the US version is the live Shout It Out Loud. And that's on all versions, although on the other releases, it's somewhere up further in the mix. It's not the last song. On all the other releases that has 20 tracks on it, God Gave Rock and Roll to You is the last track. As far as the live version of Shout It Out Loud goes, produced by Eddie Kramer, it's a good song. I like Shout It Out Loud. So yeah, that's Greatest Kiss. This is a short one because there's not really too much to say about it. It's a compilation album. It's not getting rated. I would probably rate Shout It Out Loud. I'd probably rate it a 6. It sounds okay. It's not bad. This version is not bad. It's cool that we have a live representation from the, like I said, that recording from Tiger Stadium. That's really cool that we have that. And but other than that, it's a compilation album, and I'm not going to include it in my ranks or anything. So I just wanted to include it because it is a part of the catalog, and it has. One of the main reasons I wanted to include it is just because there's so many different versions of the CD, and I think now that I found that out, I'm going to try to hunt those things down. I'd like to have the European or Aussie, the Australian, and the Mexican release, and possibly try to find the one that's got the misprint, or the not misprint but mistracked, the outside that's different than the actual CD. That'd be really cool to find. It'd probably be very difficult, or if it's probably rare. I ain't even looked it up on eBay to see how much it is. But that's it. That's all I've got for this one. I really appreciate everybody who watches. I just hit 300 subscribers. So keep subscribing, keep sharing. If you're not a subscriber, I encourage you to subscribe and look at all my Kiss stuff and my stuff that I've got in my catalog and my catalog so far. Hit the like there if you like this album, and comment down in the comment section what you like about this album, what you don't like about this album. And we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. That's it for Greatest Kiss. I'm Brent. This is In My Head channel, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.